Story 1. I've been meaning to write this for a while. Been lurking here for a while. My situation is complicated, or at least it feels like it in my mind. Prepare for the long story and rambling. My spouse and I are in our early 32s and have been married for just over a year. Around a month or two ago, she told me she didn't love me anymore. I had a feeling that something was wrong, but I thought it was something we could work through. After all, it's marriage and vows. She talked a lot of my flaws or things that happened in the past, whether true or not. I realized it was true for her, and I said I would do anything to make it work and be a better person. A short time later, I found out through her phone that she was having an affair with another guy, and it has been going on for at least a few months. Naturally, I was extremely upset, but there was another reaction that was more concerning to me. Something in me was like, no, don't leave me. I'll do anything. We were supposed to take a trip together for Thanksgiving, and I was really struggling to go through with it or not. I knew from the text that she was planning to make a week-long detour after our trip to visit her sister, and the guy would meet her there. On the day of the trip, I said I wasn't taking the trip with her. I said she would have more fun with her new guy, and I spent the holidays with my family. She was upset and said everything she could except for admitting to the affair. That day, a few of her friends contacted me to say she was crying and asked what was going on. During this whole time, she was blaming me for everything, saying all of my flaws without admitting her affair. I did my best to go no contact for a week or so, even sleeping at my office for a few nights. But one day I went back by. I was lonely and just feeling so down. She treated me really nicely, but without admitting to anything, and pretended she did nothing wrong. Since then, I've been living in a sort of limbo. We are treating each other nice, with the obvious elephant in the room. I'm not going to lie, there are times where it's been really good, and other times it's been really low. I think I've had my first panic attack 2 weeks ago. During our week apart, I filed for divorce without her knowledge. The paperwork has been ready to go for about 2 weeks, and we went on a Christmas trip together and visited mutual friends on New Year's. I've definitely been delaying the divorce process. During this time, I've done a lot of reading on this site and others, and I've learned a lot of my own issues and why I reacted the way I did. Childhood trauma, no love from my parents, emotional and physical abuse during childhood, as well as my mom loving my sibling about 100x more than I. Attachment theory, low self-esteem, codependency, depression since I was in high school, anxiety since earlier than that. I'm seeing a therapist, though she's more of the listen and don't give much advice type. I know in my logical brain that I must divorce her ASAP, but my other brain is just so sad and scared of being alone. So scared of being not good enough and loneliness. At the same time, the longer I stay, the worse I feel, with spots of happiness. The times we are together, we act more or less like a couple, doing couple things, sleeping, eating, etc., and the good times together feel like a drug addiction. Other times it feels like hell. On New Year's I was surrounded by people all talking and mingling. I've never felt so alone. One detail I left out was after we got back together, she's still accepting gifts from the other guy, including a diamond ring that just appeared. I confronted her about it, and of course she lied, saying it was an old ring. We had a big blow up about it during the New Year's party, and her friend tried to help us work through it. I showed her friend the proof because she kept denying it, and after much back and forth, we both wanted the relationship to work, but I would require her to build my trust back, which meant looking through her phone. Current day, we came back from the trip, and since then there have been no arguments. Today I met her at the gym, and I went over to say hi and saw her talking on the phone. She hung up immediately after I approached her, which made me feel, and I asked her who she was talking to. She said she wasn't talking to anyone, and it made me ask her again, who is she talking to? She then went on Facebook and called a friend and said she's now talking to friend and showed me. I said I know who you're talking to now, but I'm asking who you were talking to 10 seconds ago. She then continued to lie and said I was talking to Frenda right before. I said then show me on your call log. Shouldn't be a problem, by you already showed me you were talking to Frenda right now. She then falsely accused me of treating her like a slave, and she won't show me it. I then said, why are you still talking to him? This is not what we agreed to when we worked on our relationship. And I said I'm done with this relationship and walked out. She texted me that I like having power over her and blamed me for more stuff. I then called Frenda and asked her if it was true. Frenda is supposed to be her best friend, and she doesn't know anything about the guy. We talked about the situation, and I felt I was just venting to her. I told Frenda I disagree, I'm torturing or lording power over her. Since our New Year's conversation, I haven't asked to look at her phone, and since we've been married, whenever I go to work, I never ask her what she does, who she's with. I told her I felt I'm doing my part and more to try to make this relationship work, and she's not even meeting me halfway. Her friend said she didn't know about the affair partner at all because this was the first time hearing about it, and she was uncomfortable showing me proof of today's call logs. I said it's okay. It's not friend a responsibility to show me. I don't know what exactly I'm asking for here. Maybe just some prayers and strength in this time. It's the hardest thing I've done so far in my life. If someone was to ask me, why is it so hard for me to move on? I think I would respond like this. I feel really bad that she chose someone I feel so unworthy as, and what kind of a husband am I to have his own wife cheat on him? Is it true love between them? Is he so much better than me? I've confided in my brother in this, and I can tell he's being understanding but also a bit disappointed in me. He wants with good intentions to push me to change my career job, get out of any situation that makes me unhappy, and learn to love myself. I told him I'm trying, but it's really difficult for me some days. Really difficult. I also feel the biggest thing is fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being alone with my thoughts. Fear of regrets. Fear of what if I'm really not a good person or good enough. Fear of not being loved. Fear of not being validated. Fear of the future. Fear of losing my best friend her. Fear of losing a lover. Fear of confronting a new path, as the path I was on and laid out for me is no longer true. Fear of everything and a sadness. And even more, if I want to stay with her after she cheated on me and after she did these horrible things to me. What kind of person does that make me? I've read a lot of books or audio books, Reasons to Live, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depended on It. Edit. Are there any recommendations for books on improving self-esteem and being happy with oneself after an affair? Many I see are books advocating staying in the marriage, but this is not looking possible. Thank you for all your replies and so promptly as well. This forum really is a great resource. Some of you say things very gently while others say it with a little bit more rough, but it's needed and valid. I'll address some of the questions here. It's a full affair, physical and emotional, based on the texts. She doesn't work because of her personality. She's physically attractive and have been pampered all her life. I tried different ways of helping her find out what she wants to do career-wise, but she seems content to be a trophy wife that does charity work to make herself feel better. I used to do more yoga but stopped. Picked up going to the gym again though. I already filed for the divorce. Now they have to be served to her in person in my state. I'm contacting process servers to see who can get it done ASAP before she leaves on an overseas trip. I found a good quote from on another thread and not sure how to use the quote function, but I'm going to paste it her in case it helps other people. Wife, I love you and always envision being with you forever. However, I realize there is something immensely worse than losing you. In fact, the moment you decided to have an affair, I lost you. What is worse is what you are offering me now and have been offering me since the moment you decided to be with Om. I am sharing you. I do not share my wife. It's that simple. You are totally free to be with Om. You don't have to hide the affair. You can date him, spend time with him, sleep over at his house, whatever. But not as my wife. I hereby absolve you of any obligation or expectation I might have to you as husband and wife. I do ask that you show me the respect of not having Om around our house, but other than that do what you want. Until and unless you show me with actions and tell me in a clear vocal way that you want this marriage, I am simply assuming you have decided to be an infidelity. I am therefore also assuming our marriage is over. I will start detaching, and I will soon start the legal process of terminating our marriage. Don't worry, there are laws in place that should ensure we both get a fair deal. I don't want to make this harder than it needs to be, so I will place this in the hands of an attorney. I suggest you look into getting your own attorney, but maybe we can look into mediation. If you do want this marriage, then remember you are doing so on your own free will. I am not forcing you to anything. But for me to believe it's possible, I would need some requirements met, such as attainable accountability, a timeline, details about how the affair progressed, a clear NC letter to the Om and accountable NC with Om. Yes, they talked about being together and having kids in the future. She told me she wanted to work things out and he's not in contact with the affair partner anymore. But action speaks louder than words. Let's get her served. Give me strength. Thank you all, I will update. Papers have been served. But why do I feel so bad and guilty about it? I wish I loved myself enough to not feel guilty about serving divorce papers to a cheater. I was there when the process server came, which probably didn't help. Before that, we talked a lot of her going overseas and she wanted to find peace and if she loved me and others. And I didn't say the word divorce, but I brought up many things. Like if she really loved me, she would know where I was, and if she didn't have to contact me anymore. I feel so guilty I saw the look on her face and she was crying, but it was the right thing to do. She told me it was a shock and she went to her sisters. They're both leaving in 2 days overseas for a few months. Please reassure me that I did the right thing. Thanks for the words of encouragement. She's going on the trip to visit family as she hasn't seen them for years. I fully expect her to go. This was the right time to serve the papers as I wasn't going to be in limbo while she was on vacation for months with possibly the other boy going to meet her. Comment. My biggest regret is that I didn't tell my cheating H to GTFO on D-Day 1. I didn't know about this site until 3 years after D-Day 2, so I was not getting the best advice. I was acting on my gut instinct. But I still made some mistakes. I lived through his blaming me for the affair, his flaunting his affair in my face, his putting me in a position to audition for the role of Side while he compared me to the false reconciliation queen of the pick-me dance in D-Day 2. However, 5 months later I did tell him to get out and I was him. I was done. Restored my power and self-esteem in one fell swoop. Original poster. Thank you all for your words of encouragement. I'm sure you speak from experience and the advice is from someone who lived through it. She sent me a few texts detailing how she wished we did the divorce after she comes back from the trip instead of spoiling the trip for her. She says she feels shocked and felt like she was served like a criminal. She says she has no choice as I filed for divorce and the date on the papers was about a month earlier. Pretty much she said it was my fault we divorced and she wanted to stay with me, but she will respect my choice. I do believe that if I was given a do-over, I would have just left her 2 months ago when I found out to at least keep more moral superiority as well. I noticed your signature says you were almost divorced but reconciled. These comments give me strength, as I feel a lot of sadness about it. She wished me all the best. A part of me really wished the reconciliation worked out, but it didn't. Healing myself starts now. It's been a rough few days. She left on her trip with her sister and texted me a message telling me she loves me and to withdraw the divorce. It reads like she wants me to withdraw it by she only has 30 days to respond to the divorce and it'll mean cutting her vacation short. I have to be honest and say I feel I miss her. I think a lot about her. I try to sit and feel my feelings and I do it until it gets overwhelming. I'm going to pay the rent for this coming month and move my things out. She assumes I'm going to stay at our place, but I doubt it. By of all her stuff, clothes, etc. Her friend contacted me as well saying similar stuff. It's only been a few days, but it feels much longer. In my state, if there's no response in 30 days, it becomes a default or similar to a no contest. She is visiting her parents whom she hasn't seen in years. I agree her sister is worse than her. I spoke with her sister's husband or my ex-brother-in-law. From our limited interaction, she was cheating on him most of the time. Today was a rough day. I felt a lot of feelings just bubble up and had to cry. I feel I don't really have anyone to share this with and felt so alone. Thanks everyone. I had a conversation with my mom today that was helpful for me. It was major but we usually don't have that type of relationship where we can talk about feelings. Anyway, she contacted me today asking me to withdraw by she doesn't want to cut her trip short. Nothing in it about love, just selfishness and trying to guilt trip. Sad to see everyone on here was right. I think blocking her and going to NC would be best. She texted me the other day, but I haven't replied yet. NC is not easy either. I've been distracting myself with work and conversations with friends. However, I feel I am burying or avoiding feelings related to this betrayal. For example, when her text popped up, my heart rate jumped, etc. Story 2. Wife and I got married in June 2021. Throughout our 6.5-year relationship, we've off and on discussed the idea of introducing others into our sex life. Only ever in the context of complete openness and honesty between us, valuing us and our relationship, marriage over all else. What a fool I was. On 1/22/2022 she confessed to the affair. After reading her journal, I believe she did this solely because she thought I had already found out. On 12/14/2021 she approached a coworker who years ago expressed interest in her if she were single. If my husband was okay with it, are you interested in casual sex? Of course, she never said a word to me. He was interested and the affair progressed. They texted and talked on WhatsApp every few days. In the WhatsApp messages she mentions disabling notifications so I wouldn't see. They had a total of 12 interactions related to the affair that I know of, mostly texting about how hot it was. He wanted her to not tell me. Absurdly, in her messages, she says she loves her husband and doesn't want to hurt me, that she needs to tell me. I know she has deleted texts and says she's told me all their contents, but I don't believe her. Any recommendations on software recovery for updated iPhone? And if this is a good idea or not? Outside of work, they met up once for a hike, and she swears all they did was kiss on the cheek. This in and of itself is a massive betrayal. We love to hike. It is something I introduced into her life. Not sure if I believe they just kissed on the cheek. She is scheduling an STI test at my request. Her workspace is monitored by cameras, and 2 days before day, she asked him to find a space that the cameras couldn't see. Since day, we've each spent a few nights with friends so that I don't have to see her. Only one night together in our apartment, sleeping in separate bedrooms. She says she's sorry, but I feel that she's sorry she got caught more than she's sorry for what she did to me. I don't get the feeling that she's spent much time at all thinking about what I'm going through. She's just fixated on not letting her life fall apart. I've seen my therapist almost every day, leaned on friends, and tried to remind myself that I am great, and that I'm not alone. She told her sister and 2 friends. Her sister spent the holidays with us and in my view was an accomplice in this, even though my wife says everyone told her she needed to tell me and that what she was doing was dangerous. Her sister lived in my home for 3 weeks and lied to my face every day. She says I know everything. I don't believe her and I'm not sure I ever can. I'll certainly never understand how she could initiate an affair 6 months into our marriage. And initiate is the right word. She was the initiator, pursuer of the other man every time they interacted. This is all so fresh. I'm cycling through emotions like a ping-pong ball, and then sometimes feel so detached that I might be dead. I won't file for divorce until I'm 100% sure it's what I want. I feel like it's heading that way unless she seriously changes. She's looking into couples counseling. I will go, but I'm so ambivalent about what I want. Her selfishness is a theme of our marriage in more ways than this affair. She has said that to me several times, but it feels like she's parroting words back to me. I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel confused. I feel betrayed. I feel completely powerless. Most of all, I feel pain. Thanks to those of you who have replied so quickly. This place seemed like a supportive community. Thank you for proving that. As to the open conversations, we both have brought up it. Me more than her, if I think hard. She was certainly eager. We talked about all sorts of arrangements, and it was a fun fantasy for us to share together. We talked about threesomes, swinging, casual sex. Even as I write this, I want to vomit. But in the moment, it felt fun, lighthearted, a way for us to explore ourselves together. I now see this in a completely different light. Most of what I thought I knew about her fantasies focused on women, not men. We even tried this once, after years of discussion and fantasy, and with my active encouragement. I was okay with it then and I'm still okay with it now. But I also now know that I do not want a marriage in which I share my wife with others. I see that now more clearly than I've seen anything. For her background, I know of one other instance of cheating. It was a way to dynamite an already loveless relationship that by her accounts was physically, emotionally, sexually abusive. Or at least, I believe that she believes all of that. And she never excused the cheating, didn't use the abuse to justify, always spoke of it with great shame. I believe she feels that shame. But now this leads me to spiral with many questions. I've thought and researched right now. I will not pursue unless I 100% want it. I'm stuck in ambivalence, not sure what it would even mean to pursue R&D moderator. Thank you for your help. I suppose I can't know if she's ever cheated before. I don't believe she has, but I don't know what to believe anymore. We have both been in IC for years, and it has tremendously improved our lives. She says she told her C about the I question her C's quality and judgment for not pushing her on this. But maybe that's just a way to blame someone else who I care less about. I don't believe she's casting me as an abuser, but after an angry phone conversation 2 days ago in which I said some violent things, she said she left because she didn't feel safe around me. That hurt and feels like a way to deflect blame back on me. A way for her to get into self-defense mode rather than self-reflection. I don't know if I would have pursued a relationship if I knew at the beginning what I know now. She has made me a better person. She sees a better person in me and draws it out. Or so I thought. But I'm not sure any positivity, any growth would be worth this pain.